Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to another video on NEBOSH IGC Study Group's YouTube channel. And today we're going to be talking about the closing interview for the online open book examination for NEBOSH IGC and NGC. So what is the purpose of the closing interviews? The closing interviews basically is a step by NEBOSH to make sure that you did the work, to make sure that you answered the questions, you did not have any assistance completing the assessment, and it will be done by your course provider, or like they call it, learning partner. Okay? So your closing interview will take place by a video link and will be conducted by somebody nominated by your course provider. That's the first question. Second question is, how should I prepare for my closing interview? This is in the PDF document from NEBOSH. I'll explain a few points, hopefully in less than 7 minutes. So, how should I prepare for my closing interview? NEBOSH recommends that you need to ensure you have one of the following forms of identification that you can show to the interviewer at the start of the interview. So you need to have a passport, a driver's license, national identity card. They call it, any ID with your photo. It has to be, a government issue ID with your full legal name as it is written on the document. It has to be matching with the information you provided for your course. So if you're registered with XYZ, they have your name. For example, my name is GHAREEB Shaban Hassan on my legal document. My name on the registration form has to match GHAREEB Shaban Hassan. I cannot use other variations of my name. No, it has to be my legal name and it has to match. Okay? So you will be given a date and a time for your closing interview. You will need access to either a smartphone, tablet, or computer, obviously, because it will be done kind of like this one now. I'm recording this by camera phone, so you will need a smartphone, a tablet, or a computer with a webcam, so you can talk to the interviewer, which will be asking you questions. If you are caring for children or a vulnerable person, and you are unable to make safe arrangements for them to be looked after by someone else, then it's okay. But other than that, you have to be alone in the interview. You cannot have anybody with you. They will be asking you questions. You have to give them answers. But obviously, if you have a small child, if you have a disabled person that you are taking care of them, you can have them in the room with you, or you can be in the room with them. If you require another person to be present during the closing interview as part of a reasonable adjustment, you should discuss this in advance with your learning partner. So you have to file for learning for reasonable adjustment with NEBOSH, and this has to be done in advance, so before the interview, before all of that. Also for the NEBOSH exam registration, you have to clear that out with your course provider. Okay? And the third question is that what format will the interview take? This is based on the NEBOSH issued document. What format will the interview take? So basically, consider this the interview. The interviewer will introduce themselves. Hi, my name is so-and-so. I will be doing the interview today. And they will ask you to confirm your identity. You will show your identification, and it has to be clear, that this is you, so they know it's you. Then you have to pick up the camera and show them the room and make sure there is nobody else in there. There are no sources of information you can cheat from. You can take books from. You can take notes from or anything. So they have to make sure that the room is empty. So The interviewer will ask you questions based on your open book exam. So say there was a question about the moral, social, and financial reasons for health and safety in your exam, and you answered that. You gave the top-notch answer. Perfect mark. Okay, now they will ask you a question about that question. You have to answer clearly, you know, you have to be brief or give as much details as they ask you to, okay? So you have to do that. If your answer matches your answer on the book, then they are satisfied. If not, they will make notes, and we'll talk about this in a minute now. So, and this is an opportunity for you to demonstrate what you have learned during your studies. Please also refer to tips. Okay. So, end of the interviewer will close the interview, but will not be able to inform you of the outcome of the video call. So he will not say, oh, you did good, very good, good job. No, excellent, top notch, you passed. Okay, the interview has nothing to do with passing or failing. Obviously, you cannot pass without this interview, but this interview does not have a mark, okay? NEBOSH needs to verify that you did the work. So you have to prove to your learning partner or to your course provider that it is really you that did the work during the examination, all right? So what happens next? If the interviewer is happy with your work, and the interviewer is satisfied that it is your own, your mark will be declared in line with the published NEBOSH time frames. Basically, 10 weeks to 12 weeks after the exam, they will give you your results, whether or not you passed. This is if the interviewer is happy with your interview. But if the interviewer is not happy, they will make a notation and tell NEBOSH, hey, you know what, I think GHAREEB is shady, you know, maybe he didn't answer the questions, maybe he's playing us or something. So what NEBOSH will do now, they will contact me directly. If they suspect that I cheated, they will contact me directly, or you directly, and say, okay, let's have another interview, okay? So this will be the first step for another interview. If you pass that interview, NEBOSH say, okay, pass, not pass, whatever. But if they find out that the answers in the book are written by somebody really, really smart, an expert in health and safety, and when they're asking you to give the same answers or close to them, you're not able to do that, then maybe you're in breach of NEBOSH's policy and procedures for, you know, suspected malpractice in examinations and assessments. So the penalty for this one is severe, and it can be, you know, it can include banning. So this means blacklisting you from receiving any further NEBOSH qualifications. So will I receive a mark for my closing interview? No, your closing interview is not an assessment, and therefore you will not receive a mark for it. This is according to NEBOSH. Okay, question number 4 is, you know, they're giving you some tips for successful closing interviews. Before the interview, make sure that you have downloaded the software. For example, they use Skype, they use Zoom, they use WhatsApp, they use Viber, they use Microsoft Teams, whatever. Your course provider will most probably send you a link to the software that they will use, and if you have any problems, download it first. If you have any problems, get in touch with them, blah, blah, blah. Make sure that you have you know, the software working. That's good. So, after you've done your work, and you you know, you wrote it and you submitted your exam, say it to somebody, you know, because say, hey, you know what, I have an interview and then I have to make sure that I'm not nervous, whatever. Say your work, say your answers in front of somebody, let them hear you and give you some points, or record yourself as you're giving the answers, and then you give yourself some advices and benefit from that. Make sure that you have a quiet room where you will not, where you will be comfortable and not be disturbed. Like like we said, no children, nobody coming in and out, and everybody talking to you. But if you have somebody disabled and you have a child that nobody can care for, you have to be with them, then you have to tell your course provider, and they will be understanding of that, and they will give you a reasonable adjustment. And you can take a glass of water, no problem, okay? Everybody gets nervous or, thirsty. So during the interview, answer your questions honestly, and if you are not sure about something, do not try to guess the answer. This is an advice from NEBOSH. Don't try to guess the answer. Remember, the interviewer is not assessing you, so you will not be marked down. For example, if in your exam your mark is 60, and you give not very good answer in the interview, it will not come down to 40. They will not mark you down. Okay? So, listen carefully to the question being asked and try to answer them briefly. Just be brief. No need to give really elaborate answers or anything. No. That's a no-no. Try to be very, very short. Okay? Try to relax. This may seem difficult, but remember, this is the opportunity to demonstrate that you have learned during, what you have learned during your studies. And number 5, here somebody's asking, what if I do not have access to either a smartphone, tablet, or computer, or to do the closing interview? In this case, they have a solution for that. It depends on the country in which you're living or working or residing. You have to have the closing interview. There's no way around that. You have to have it. If you can do it by smartphone, laptop, computer, whatever, okay, it's good. If you don't have the ability to do that, then you have to contact your course provider. If possible, they may arrange a face-to-face for you, a face-to-face closing interview. But this also depends on the local laws and legislations and regulations and lockdown procedures. Okay, so this is up to them. They have to do that. In most countries now, the lockdown is strict. You cannot come and go. Maybe it's less strict in some countries or some cities, regions, or areas. But in others, they're really strict. There is no movement allowed, whatever, it's curfew. All right. So what you have to do now is postpone it until, a later date where it's possible for you to attend the face-to-face, or maybe you buy a phone, say, oh, hey, you know what, I can do it by phone now. Okay? So that's my take on the closing interview. And I know I said I will be doing this video a long time ago. This is the time when I've had the chance to do it. I'll be posting 2 videos here now. They're related to NEBOSH open book examination. Check them out. They have really, really good tips and information. And if you have any questions regarding this video or any other, please comment on the correct video, and we will talk accordingly. I've been GHAREEB Shaban Hassan. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.